Mahalo everyone, and welcome to another deck here on the Johnny Scarecrow's channel. You're with me, Joe, and I'm presenting with you the version 2 of our Gravekeeper's deck. So last time we featured one which includes more of the monsters, and I guess a general feel of the Gravekeepers as a whole. This is kind of more of a slimline version that kind of gets to the heart of what playing Gravekeepers is about, which is essentially knocking your opponent out of the graveyard, preventing them from using some of the combos that they're used to using in the modern world because they've been transported back in time to the ancient Egyptian era. And yeah, essentially kind of bulldozering their plans early is the main way I'm trying to describe this. I think this is close to as good as I can get the Gravekeepers at this point in time. So yeah, let's go to the deck. We're running, I think, basically, is it 13 monsters? Yeah, 13 monsters. So we're running 3 of, I think, the best 4, which are Commandant, which lets you get the Necro Valley, Recruiter, which is one of the, it's the only Gravekeeper which, when it's sent to the graveyard, so by any kind of means, whenever it's sent, if you control it, you can get a Gravekeeper from your deck to your hand. So you can get Commandant, you can get Spiritualist, and you can get Descendant with that effect. Descendant's the only one of in here, and it's basically you can pop one of your other Gravekeepers to destroy any card your opponent controls. So if there's a particularly pressing issue, this deck needs to have the kind of presence on the field. It's very much turn 1 deck, so this is one of the few ways you can get over things turn 2 or further turns. Gravekeeper Spy. Wonderfully ancient card. I really like this one. Basically, the simple flip summon lets you special summon one from the deck, and the one you're kind of going to be after is the Spiritualist. Basically, so you can kind of flip Spy or use Spiritualist in some way to allow you to summon the fusion, the big bad, and really, hopefully, the only monster you're going to be trying to get, Gravekeeper Supernaturalist. So this can gain a decent amount of attack. So this goes up to about 2800 pretty much, and then it can't be destroyed with card effects when Necro Valley is on the field. So, and it needs to be the actual field stock copy of Necro Valley. And yeah, basically it just keeps allowing you to bring copies of Necro Valley cards or Gravekeeper's monsters from your deck to your hand. So you kind of want it on the field as long as you can. And the reason why is because you can start to recruit Necro Valley cards like Necro Valley Throne, which lets you add more Gravekeepers, or a normal some of them, so you can kind of overpower your opponent, or things like Hidden Temples, which prevents your opponent from special summoning monsters. It does say neither player can, so in theory what you want is just one of these out on the field with the Hidden Temples, and then you've got the Necro Valley, got Hidden Temples, they can't use the Grave, they can't use their extra deck, they can't use any special summoning. A lot of decks, that's a GG right there, which is pretty cool for an archetype kind of so old. Yeah, I think that's most of the monsters and some of the spells covered. Royal Tribute. I don't think there's been a card printed like Royal Tribute since it was back in 2003. Just immediately you play one card, both players discard any monsters. Now obviously sometimes this can backfire if they've got things that want to be in the grave, I don't know, malicious, other things of this nature. But if your opponent's holding hand traps, things like Becked Veiler, there's all sorts of things where Royal Tribute just annihilates it straight away, and you can, these days people are running hand traps as their only traps, and if you can immediately eliminate them, it's surprising how quickly you can steamroller things through. So yeah, really cool card, like that a lot. We're running Prosperity and Positive Duality. Some people might want to run Positive Extravagance. It depends on their relationship with the extra deck. You kind of always want to have a Gravekeeper Supernaturalist in there, and most of the other XEs are kind of for when you haven't got Hidden Temples or it's been destroyed. Basically, you can start to summon some of basically the generic 4-star XEs that we know a lot of, things like Evil Swarm, Extra Knight, Castell, Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon. whatever your situation needs, there should be a 4-star Xyz in here that can deal with it. So that's the kind of other nice thing about this deck. It's not, you don't need themed extra deck cards other than the Spiritualist. Everything else is kind of more generic. We are running 1 copy of Mystic Mine in here as another way to kind of disrupt what your opponent does, because it's a low monster deck. Having Mystic Mine can often be super helpful, and we're already running kind of field spell recruiting stuff anyway, and often you'll end up with rogue copies of Necro Valley because it's just so important. It's better to overdo it on the searching than underdo it. And so, yeah, I think that's important. Sometimes people might not want to have it because there is so much searchability for Necro Valley, in which case you can take out things like Metaverse and Terraforming for other trap cards. Maybe there's another Necro Valley card actually. Maybe a Necro Valley Temple, or Gravekeeper'd Steel. There are a few additions you can make. Gravekeeper'd Steel might actually be beneficial in a deck like this where we are running quite a few monsters comparatively. So yeah, Gravekeeper'd Steel, if I just quickly search that up for you, it lets you retrieve 2 Gravekeepers from the grave, even if you've got Necro Valley. The trap lineup, Solomons explain themselves. The Imperial Tombs is the cool one. It's essentially under all-encompassing Solemn. So it does Warnings Effect, Judgment Effect without the need to pay life points, but you do need a Necro Valley and a Gravekeeper. But yeah, so as I say, turn 1, you get an Imperial Tombs, and you get a Necro Valley and a Gravekeeper out. You're in a decent spot, really, to win the game. I think that's all. Hope you've enjoyed this and the other Gravekeeper's deck we're going to feature on the channel, as well as some of the other decks we've got for you over the coming weeks. Ciao, Bella.